This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. 6 men are in police custody over on Grand Bahama after they were allegedly found in possession of dangerous drugs and illegal ammunition in separate incidents. Officers of the Drug Enforcement Unit, in keeping with the Commissioner's policing plan for 2020, with the focus on hotspots where illegal drugs and firearms are hidden and sold, continue to pay attention to specific areas throughout Grand Bahama where illegal activities are taking place and where incidents of crime are likely to occur. Police say shortly after 7 a.m., DU officers went to number 10 Bell Channel Road, where they arrested 2 males and were found to be in possession of a quantity of suspected marijuana. Then shortly after 9 p.m., officers of the Operation Grinch, led by Chief Superintendent Kenwood Taylor and team, executed a search warrant at a local nightclub on the intersection of East Mall Drive and East Sunrise Highway. Officers recovered a black 9mm pistol with 1 magazine containing 7 rounds of ammunition. Officers also discovered a clear plastic bag containing a quantity of suspected marijuana. 4 males were arrested in connection with this matter. Investigation into these matters continue. As the world celebrates the 75th Human Rights Day yesterday, the National Tripartite Council presented recommendations to the government that aim to eliminate violence and harassment in the workplace and gender-based violence. Treasurer of the NTC, Rhonda Gadet, says details on the C-190 Violence and Harassment at Work Convention 2019 and its appendage R206.
This convention calls for the social partners of each of the member states and certainly of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to join forces in addressing unacceptable behaviors in the workplace that are likely to result in physical, psychological, sexual, or economic harm to another, whether gender-based or not. Such behavior causes anxiety and creates a climate of distrust and insecurity in the workplace, ultimately resulting in loss of manpower, reduced efficiencies, and increased costs to both the state and to the employer. Today, violence and harassment in the workplace affects the rank and file of all occupations and economic sections, whether public or private, formal or informal. There is no exception.
Accepting the recommendations on behalf of the Ministry of Labor was Permanent Secretary of Labor Reginald Saunders and the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Peter DeVoe Isaacs. Here's Mr. Saunders on how this convention came about.
I am aware that the Bahamian delegation attending the 108th session of the International Labor Conference in June 2019 played a critical role in the discussion leading to the ILO formally adopting both Convention 190 and Recommendation 206. I am also advised that executives of the NTC fully supported the leaders of various social groups, are determined to ensure that the Bahamas takes a leading role among Caribbean countries in the formal ratification of this historic document. With your presentation today, I wish on behalf of the Honorable Darren Hetfield and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to express my thanks and appreciation to the National Tripartite Council for the exceptional work that you do in upholding the principles of the International Labor Organization.
When asked what the next step is for the NTC in this mission, Chairman of the NTC, Robert Farquharson, had this to say.
It is anticipated that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will consult with the Attorney General and other agencies of government, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs is mandated to make the formal presentation to the government. Once the government takes a decision on whether to ratify the convention, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be charged with formally advising the International Labour Organization and taking steps through the Office of the Attorney General to present, debate, and enact the necessary legislation to facilitate the ILO convention.
Government officials did not give a timeline for these events. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture announcing the launch of this year's National Heritage Celebrations under the theme Rejuvenated, Re-enhanced, and Recommitted to the Culture, Building a Better Bahamas. Here's Culture Director Rowena Sutherland.
We basically had to examine everything that has been happening this year. Culture Month always comes at the end of the year, which is a time for unions to reflect on what has happened and what's going to happen next. And so rejuvenated, we said, okay, what does this country need? We need to be rejuvenated. We need to be re-enhanced, and we need to recommit. We have to have resolve in order to continue forward. So we were exploring a theme that would speak to the strength and the character of the Bahamian people.
The Department of Culture has quite a number of events lined up throughout the month. Mrs. Sutherland says her team has worked extremely hard to bring a virtual platform to all Bahamians, adding that they've been intentional in how they would engage the Bahamian people, both at home and abroad.
And also we've been looking at avenues to explore ongoing conversation and meaningful engagement. We want to do community. And so I want to encourage all Bahamians anywhere in the world to log on to our Facebook page, which is Division of Cultural Affairs 242. And please engage us in conversations, and also want to use that as a platform to showcase Bahamian cultural practitioners and artists.
That said, the festivities kick off with a nationally televised tree lighting ceremony tonight at 8 p.m. The Division of Culture also partnered with other corporate entities to create an original Bahamian TV show called The Fergusons, which will pay homage to the old radio drama, The Fergusons of Farm Road. That also premieres tonight at 8:30. There's also a People's Choice Junkanoo show that will air on Christmas night and New Year's morning. Those shows will analyze last year's Boxing Day parade and this year's New Year's Day parade.
And we give some attention to A groups and B groups. And then, of course, like I said, on the 28th and the 29th, we feature the Family Island. So it's really interesting. I'm trying not to give too much away, but I want you to get excited. I want people to get excited, because in the show, it's really fast-paced. It's interesting. You get excited. You get to vote. But not only that, a lot about what Junkanoo really means comes out. We talk about the religious aspect of Junkanoo. We talk about the sustainability. We talk about the fact that we don't own Junkanoo right now, and the Division of Cultural Affairs with UNESCO has entered into an application for the ownership of Junkanoo. So it's a lot of really interesting conversation to be had, and it's not dull TV, it's exciting, fast-paced, interesting TV.
Those televised events will also stream live on Facebook and YouTube. As Abaco still tries to pick up the pieces following monster Category 5 storm Hurricane Dorian last year, the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas offers a helping hand. Here's Jarino Saunders with the details.
Although there are many improvements taking place on the island of Abaco and its Keys, just over a year since Hurricane Dorian, there is still much work to be done. On Elbow Key, the world-famous lighthouse at Hopetown remains closed to visitors. Built in 1864, the lighthouse, the keeper's quarters, and the generator house are all currently undergoing much-needed repairs. In its ongoing efforts to help the Abacos return to its once thriving economy, the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas assisted greatly by covering some of the costs so that the lighthouse can reopen for business once again. Building contractor Jackson Blatch said repairs were already underway before the hurricane hit. He described some of the damage that was done to the lighthouse following the hurricane.
It was in really bad condition. The structure stand pretty good. We recently replaced all of the weatherproof glass, which was right in good time. And the work we done was able to save the inner structure of the lighthouse.
According to President of the Rotary Club of Abaco, Dwayne Wallace, so far they've assisted with the repairs to the tune of $40,000 thanks to their generous donors and supporters who also want to see the Abacos return to prominence.
Well, this is the last and only hand-driven, kerosene-lit lighthouse in the world. It has a lot of history and culture behind it. It's a major tourist attraction for the island of Abaco. And the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas have tackled helping the restoration of the site. Specifically, the major donation was to get the lighthouse keepers' houses livable, and especially to get the roofs fixed so that the keeper could move in. And continue to maintain the lighthouse and keep the light on, as they say.
The hand-driven kerosene-powered Hopetown Lighthouse stands at 120 feet above sea level and is visible from 17 miles out to sea. With the assistance of the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas and other donors, in the very near future, the lighthouse should be ready to once again open for visitors from around the world. Jorino Saunders, JCN News.
You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.